Before going out to shoot, make sure you have all of the equipment you'll need: the camera, charged batteries, microphone, a memory card with enough room for your shoot, the LED light, and a tripod. While shooting video, using a tripod will reduce camera movement and produce a better product. Open the clips on the legs and extend them to the approximate desired height. There are 3 clips on each leg. Start with the top clip, then move down as more height is needed. Spread the legs of the tripod fully, placing them on as level ground as possible. Loosen the vertical tilt, V-tilt, and horizontal tilt, H-tilt, adjustment levers. Using the adjustment levers, move the top plate of the tripod until the bubble in the top plate level indicator is within the black circle. Use the center post adjustment lever to further adjust the final height. Tighten all adjustment levers firmly. Check to make sure the tripod is sturdy. Push down on the small black lever on the top plate with your thumb and pull the gray lever. On the bottom of each camera is a metal mount that attaches to the top plate of the tripod. With the gray lever pulled back, place the metal mount flush on the top plate and push the gray lever forward to secure the camera. Check to make sure the camera is securely attached. Slide the power switch on top of the camera to movie mode and open the LCD screen. Keep in mind that a fully charged battery will last approximately an hour and a half while shooting video. Move the shooting mode dial to manual. The LCD screen will display a live preview and provide exposure and shooting mode information. If no information appears, press the info button. If the scene requires the use of a light, attach the LED light to the camera's hot shoe by sliding it forward and tightening the black disc on the bottom of the light. The first adjustment in setting a good exposure is ISO, or film speed, which is the camera's sensitivity to light. To adjust film speed, press the ISO button on the top of the camera. The ISO numbers are ranges of light sensitivity. The lower the number, the brighter the shooting environment needs to be. For example, a 100 ISO speed would be ideal for shooting on Appian Way in bright sunlight, but would not be sensitive enough to shoot in a dark classroom. It's important to note that the higher the ISO number, the more digital noise, so it's best to find the lowest possible ISO setting for each shoot. Use the main dial to select the appropriate ISO, then press Set on the back of the camera. Once the ISO has been selected, it's time to fine-tune the exposure. In video mode, the first number at the bottom of the LCD screen, the shutter speed, will determine the brightness of the shot. Shutter speed can be adjusted using the main dial. The second number at the bottom of the LCD screen is the aperture, which will determine the size of the opening inside the lens or how much light is being let in, which also affects the brightness of the shot. The aperture also affects how much of the image is in focus. A small aperture number will result in very little of the foreground and background being in focus. This is called shallow depth of field. A large aperture number will result in more of the background and foreground being in focus, and this is called high depth of field. It's best to first determine how much of the shot should be in focus. To adjust the aperture, press and hold the AV button and turn the main dial. Determine the best aperture setting, then use the shutter speed to fine-tune the exposure. It's helpful to make use of the live histogram, which is a graphic readout of the brightness levels in the shot, to determine the proper exposure. Adjust the shutter speed until the histogram values are between the highest and lowest points on the graph. Once the exposure is set, it's time to adjust the white balance so that white objects look white to the camera. The Canon T5i has several white balance settings, which can be accessed by pressing the Q button on the back of the camera. Use the down arrow to highlight the white balance menu. Use the left and right arrows to scroll through the preset white balance settings, which include auto white balance, sunlight, shade, cloudy, incandescent light, and fluorescent light. Choose the appropriate lighting source and press Set. To record sound with a microphone, plug it into the microphone input on the side of the camera. Switch the microphone to the on position. To check sound levels, press Menu on the back of the camera. Use the arrows next to the LCD screen to access the video recording settings. Select Sound Recording by pressing the Set button. The sound recording levels can be set to auto, or the user can select a recording level manually. Be sure that the level of the sound being recorded does not cause the sound meter to peak or reach the 0 level. Once the level has been selected, press Set to save the selection. To choose the autofocus mode, press the Quick Select button on the back of the camera. Use the arrows to highlight the autofocus function, then press Set. There are 3 available autofocus modes: Face Tracking, Flexi-Zone Multi, and Flexi-Zone Single. In face tracking mode, the camera focuses on human faces. Once a face is detected, the camera locks onto it, continually keeping it in focus. To engage the autofocus, press the shutter button down halfway. If multiple faces are detected, use the selection arrows to choose which faces to focus on. In Flexi-Zone Multi, the camera selects 31 points that may be of interest in the shot. Use the arrow keys to select an autofocus point. In Flexi-Zone Single mode, the user selects the autofocus point. A box appears on the LCD screen. This is the autofocus point. To move the autofocus point, use the arrows on the back of the camera or touch the LCD screen. Once the tripod is secure and in place, appropriate exposure settings have been established, and the autofocus mode has been set, press the shutter button down halfway to focus on your subject. Once focus is achieved, press the Record Live View button above the LCD screen to begin recording. To end a recording, press the Record Live View button again. After the shoot, remove your SD card and place it in your SD card case. Next, turn off the microphone by sliding the switch to the off position. Then, make sure that you have all of the equipment, including the camera, batteries, microphone, and light, returned to the camera case. When you leave the shoot, make sure that you have your camera case with all contents, your SD card case with your SD card inside, and your tripod.